Jewish day schools, and I think Strier is very unique. In being a Jewish day school, having a dual curriculum, teaching students both general studies, secular subjects, as well as Judaics, and I'm assuming Hebrew language is part of the curriculum. How do you balance the two sides?
We joke that we never know what to call our different parts of the day. Is it general studies and Judaic studies, Limudei Kodesh and Limudei Chol? What do we want to call it? And I have proposed, not seriously, but I propose nonetheless that we call it Limudei obviously Kodesh and Limudei less obviously Kodesh. That's how we fit it all in the day, that we don't view a dichotomy between the two.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. This is Aryeh Eisenberg with you from Edu-Together, and it's great to have you back for another episode of our podcast series. I'd like to welcome our special guest for today, Rabbi Jordan Soffer, the head of school of Strier Hebrew Academy in Sharon, Massachusetts. Rabbi Soffer, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
So I will tell you that I've known about your school for a little while, and it's a school I've really always admired. And I know that you work with a large part of the Jewish community in Sharon, Massachusetts. It would be great if you could give our listeners and our viewers just a little bit of an overview of your school and your main student base.
Great. So as you mentioned, we're in Sharon, Massachusetts, which is a lovely suburban neighborhood halfway between Providence and Boston. So I think many of us consider it a suburb of Boston, but the truth is it's smack in between the two cities. And the town slogan is something like a great place to live because it's naturally beautiful, as you can see out the window.
You must love snow if you live up between Providence and Boston too.
I do love snow. We don't get enough of it anymore. So we can talk about that another time. We have a great sledding hill. But that is actually like what the town's selling point is 365 days a year, you're outside. So in the summer,
wow,
you have a gorgeous lake and a beach and hiking trails that are good in the spring and the fall. And in the winter, you're sledding and you're playing in the snow. And it's, the community itself is also reflectively beautiful and welcoming and warm. And the school is Hamish and serious, I like to say. We find a nice combination of the two.
So for those people who have never heard the word Hamish before, do us a favor and just describe what Hamish is for the non-Yiddish speakers that might be out there.
Great. For those who share my Sephardi blood but haven't adopted the Yiddish-speaking world. Hamish is homey. It's a feeling that when you're here, you're family, to quote the brilliant sage Olive Garden.
There we go. well, if they say it well, then go with it, right? So, Strier Hebrew Academy is a relatively small school in a large global community. So I'm curious, being a smaller school in the Boston Providence area, what advantages and disadvantages does that give you as the school year moves forward?
Yeah, so I would say I don't always accept the description of large schools and small schools because all schools are just combinations of children. And sure, you have more children or more learners, fewer learners. But at the end of the day, if every single learner is of infinite value, every single school is of infinite size. So I would say logistically, we do have fewer people in our building, and the difficulties of that are easy to share, right? Because it's more difficult to get resources. It's more difficult to sustain a nice building. Staffing could be more challenging. And I would say the advantages are equally obvious to those who are here. The attention that every child gets. I hear some heads of school brag that they know every child's name. And the reason I find that laughable is that I know every child's home address. I've been to every child's home. I know all their parents. They know all my children.
That's so nice.
And there are 100 of us. We're like one big extended family.
So you've really built a true family atmosphere within the school, which I think I look at as an advantage if from the student perspective. I want to look. You have a beautiful tagline on your school's website, And I want to ask you about it. Your website says learning early to love learning. And I love that tagline because I think it says so much. But I'm curious from your perspective, Rabbi Soffer, like what does it mean learning early to love learning, and how do you embrace that within the school culture and community?
So I'd say two things. The first thing is that often schools have this idea that children have questions and schools have answers. And the more information that you get, the more answers that students will have. And we are philosophically opposed to that. We believe the complete opposite. We believe that the more students learn, the more it should generate questions and thoughts and ideas. And the more that they're exposed to different ideas, the more they should be aware of all the ideas they've yet to be exposed to. I've heard it described before as a circle, and within the circle is everything you know, and outside the circle is everything you don't know. And as that circle expands, the more the circumference touches the world that it doesn't know. And so your learning is greater, but what's outside and your realization is outside too. So that's the first philosophy. And I would say the second, on Monday night, we had our 5th grade graduation and we put on a play. The teachers write a play with the kids. It's amazing. And this year's theme was poking fun at the school that we get no learning done.
I love it.
It was saying we couldn't get learning done because we were busy measuring the flour for a bake sale and then calculating how much money we earned and donating it and researching stakot in Israel to donate the earnings to. And we couldn't get learning done because we had a speaker come in to teach us about the Salonika community. And it was the perfect poke fun at our school, because that's what it is. If you're looking for your traditional methodology, we're not going to get that done. If you're looking for out of the box exploration, you'll feel at home.
Wow, sounds like an amazing environment. You just touched on a couple of examples of out of classroom learning or non-traditional educational opportunities. Could you talk to us a little bit more about how you work those opportunities into the curriculum, into the general student experience?
Yeah, so I'd say one of the easy things we have to fall back on is Common Core, which was the Obama presidency era ideas of what children should be learning at certain ages. And we hold ourselves accountable to that. And it's good to have something to hold yourself accountable to. And then beyond that, the list is endless. I'll give you, my daughter is in kindergarten this year, and they got up to the letter Dalet when they were learning the Aleph Bet, and it was right around October when they were that. And so they went Dalat picking. And I didn't know that word. I'm a pretty fluent Hebrew speaker, but I would have had no clue what a pumpkin is. And my 6-year-old will never forget what it is.
That's really incredible that they have that opportunity to do in their even in the kindergarten class. That's amazing. It sounds like your students really have access to so many different types of learning opportunities. I'm curious, from the staffing point, is there special training or special development that you give your staff in order to achieve that style of learning?
It's a great question. And to fall back on my, I guess, which is always my answer, two answers in one. One is it's part of our search process, meaning when I'm interviewing potential teachers, I want to know what's your methodology, what's your philosophy on going outside, what learning could be happening on a hiking trail. Tell me what can be incorporated. So that's part of it, is that we are selecting people who fit what we call Shassiness. So if you're Shasi, that's what we're looking for. And I would say, secondly, we've grown by over 50% in the past 5 years.
Wow. That's a lot of growth.
It's amazing growth. But all of the added income that has come with that has been reinvested into teacher training in the classroom. We've spent nominally on capital campaigns. We've spent nominally on recruitment. We actually slashed our recruitment budget in half because we felt, let's create a good product and that will be our recruitment. We've invested so much more into social emotional learning, into teacher training and professional development. And I would argue that is the biggest source of our continued growth.
Wow, that's really incredible to hear because so many schools out there are struggling with the whole teacher training piece, the professional development. Out of curiosity, are most of your teachers, I know you're expanding, so I'm sure you're adding new staff every year, but are your core faculty members people who have been there for many years, or do you see a lot of turnover amongst your faculty?
We have a great combination, actually. We have some young, newer, both young in age and young in our school, and some veteran teachers who have been here a long time. Our most veteran teachers have been here for over 20 years, and our newest teacher joined 3 months ago.
Amazing. So I'm sure everybody's able to learn from each other,
Exactly.
which is something very special. I think it's one of the things too that you see in a school. I'll use the word small school, but like you said before, not in a different way, but it's really a beautiful thing. I think when you don't have 1,000 faculty members or even 500 faculty members, I'm sure there are opportunities for people to learn from each other on a daily basis,
I'll
which
give
is
you
a beautiful thing.
can I give, sorry to interrupt, but I want to give you an
Yeah, no,
amazing example of this. Our, another thing that we do really well is collaboration and cross subjects. Our art teacher and our second and third grade Judaics teacher were creating a project together leading up to Pesach. It was part of a program called Teachers Institute for the Arts, a legacy heritage program. And they'd been working on it for a long time, but our art teacher isn't Jewish. And she comes back from what she referred to as spring break, as Pesach break. And we're all sharing what our highlights was. And she said, well, the second and third grade teacher invited me over for her Seder. And I got to see all in action, everything we had been learning about. So it goes beyond collaboration in the classroom. It's like, it's a belief that we're building something real and important together.
wow, that's such a beautiful example. For so many different reasons of being able to share information, culture, religion, that's a real that's real togetherness if I've ever heard. So that's really nice. I'm curious with all of the special learning opportunities that your school offers. Different students learn in different ways, which we all know. What kind of efforts or programs does your school run, to help students who might be struggling academically or might have a tougher time grasping materials, as opposed to other students?
Great. I think another thing you would see on our website is that one of our taglines is serving the community one child at a time. And that's
Yeah.
what we believe. We actually, I think I would reject the term accommodations because that makes it seem like it's out of the ordinary. I reject the term IEPs, even in a literal sense. Obviously, IEPs are a real thing. Individualized educational plan are real, but every single child at this school has their own version of a individualized plan. Next year, we invested in a teacher in 5 hours a week for advanced math because we've been seeing children who actually the math that we're teaching, they could be pushed a little bit more. At the same
Well,
time, we've invested a lot into remediation or more supports that children need. But I think the biggest answer to that is that the moment we start thinking about it as exceptional or twice exceptional, we've lost it. Every
okay.
child is learning differently, and we have to understand, and a small school can do this. I can know
Right.
how every child is learning.
So I think I was going to say because you're small in size, I think it's amazing that you're able to do that. I remember one of my mentors back in the day always said that there's no such, like, similar to what you said, there's no such thing as a learning disability. It's just a matter of how a student learns, and it's our job as educators to figure out how to unlock that door, how to get to the student to make sure they're academically successful. I know that's something Edu-Together really believes in. So it's great to hear that that's really the way you guys work.
Yeah, I love it. I love, and I think, labels are useful insofar as they teach us how to support each child. So if you want to tell me that this is dyslexia and it's going to help me understand how to teach this child to read and write more efficiently, great. Then that label is important. But if it's just to a label on a child, then that's not for us. The one other thing that I would add to this is because we've been emphasizing the value that we could see it in small schools. And I do think that's true. And I think that the Jewish community sometimes invests in the wrong areas. and large schools can do this too. We can meet every child in any school if budgets are meant to be a reflection of values. And I feel very proud that our school's budget is a real reflection of our values. And I hope other schools can feel that pride too.
That's a really important point, and thank you for bringing that up. It's about setting those priorities and setting those learning goals and figuring out how to make them happen. You mentioned Jewish day schools, and I think Striar is very unique in being a Jewish day school, having a dual curriculum, teaching students both general studies, secular subjects, as well as Judaics, and I'm assuming Hebrew language is part of the curriculum. How do you balance the two sides? I know a lot of Jewish schools, and for that matter, Catholic schools and Christian schools and Muslim schools I've spoken to have had similar challenges of being able to get it all in the hours that exist and in the time that you have. How do you guys manage to keep both sides of the program running smoothly and on track?
We joke that we never know what to call our different parts of the day. Is it general studies and Judaic studies, Limudei Kodesh and Limudei Chol? What do we want to call it? And I have proposed, not seriously, but I propose nonetheless that we call it Limudei obviously Kodesh and Limudei less obviously Kodesh.
I love that. Okay. You should trademark that right now.
Okay, great. Trademarked here. But that's how we fit it all in the day, that we don't view a dichotomy between the two. All learning. I'll give you an example of one of my favorite lessons that I've developed with our older students. They start learning about shiurim, the sizes of food that you have to eat leading up to Pesach. So at the same time, they're learning math concepts. They're not learning quite displacement yet, but learning math concepts that allow them to understand displacement. And so we go into our kitchen with beakers and we put an olive into water, see how much it displaces. Then we break up matzah, put it into the water, try to find the equivalent amount, wow, raise the water. Right. And then they're learning about it in math class. They're learning about it when they come back to Mishnah, to Gemara, to Halacha. They're learning all about it. And they're able to see this is one underlying concept. They all go together.
It reminds me, that's a great example. It reminds me of a lesson we did with Edu-Together a couple of years ago. We were studying the tractate of Sukkot, and we were teaching the students about all of the measurements and all of the requirements for a kosher sukkah for the holiday of Sukkot. And I remember we were able to bring in the geometry teacher and our 3D modeling teacher, who actually had the students building using Fusion 360 models, and it was just it sounds like you guys are doing those kind of things regularly, being able to incorporate all the different disciplines. So that's
exactly.
Really amazing.
And it's not just the oldest grades, right? In kindergarten and first grade, you're already learning about shadows. And so when you talk about the code, a lot of it is what's more shaded, what's more shadowy, and you bring that in. And the kids start playing in there, trying to trace their shadow as opposed to doing it outside. It's fun, it's engaging, and it's educational, and it's spiritual. It's identity.
That's really special. And I think your students, it sounds like they're receiving just an amazing overall educational experience. So that's really great to hear. It's exciting to hear everything you guys are doing. I'm curious, we always call our students in the world of education 21st century learners today, because we live in a world where obviously technology is at the forefront of everything we do. We have amazing aspects of technology. We have aspects of technology that we as educators find very challenging. Curious to know, what is Striar's approach to educational technology, using technology as a learning tool, and how do you balance everything without losing the educational focus?
Yeah, I would say one of the taglines you often hear is some form of educating today's students for tomorrow's world. Right. And Jewish schools will add something like using tools from yesterday, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
We don't know what tomorrow's world is.
That is true.
I hardly know what today's world is. But the truth is, we have a talkless answer. Like we have a practical answer of that, that I could go through. Every classroom has a projector screens, top quality projector screens that can attach to a teacher's, we just had an upgrade a year and a half ago. They can attach to a teacher's phone so they can walk around the classroom easily and talk to students while having something on the board. We have tablets, we have laptops, we teach both typing and use of different websites. We access different educational websites online as well. But all that is sort of the practical answer.
Right.
The philosophical answer is that we want our students to be responsible citizens all over, globally, internet wise, whatever it is. I'm very influenced by Jonathan Haidt's new book, The Anxious Generation. I found it very compelling. And so we want to give those tools, but at the end of the day, Sharon's bracha and Shas's bracha is that our kids are going to be outside. And so it is a balance, but we do lean in hard to, we are not a school that allows phones. We're not a school that wants you on screens too much. We want you outside. We want you playing. We want you to have bruised knees at the end of the day. And we want you to get into fights like children do and navigate those fights on your own, like children always have, with teacher intervention. I'm not, we don't, God forbid.
We know what you mean.
But
you want kids to be kids. That's the bottom line. And I agree with you. I think that's really important. I was just talking the other day to a parent of a incoming sixth grade student who was talking about how his son was going to be taking a physics course, a college level physics course online next year. And I said to the father, I said, listen, that's all well and good, but remember that he's a sixth grader. I said, what's he doing for fun? I said, yeah. And the father said, well, we haven't gotten to that yet. So I said, well, maybe you got to think about that too, because kids are kids. And it sounds like you guys figure out how to make that combination work. So that's great.
There's a great quote, and I'm looking on my bookshelf because I can't remember the name of the thinker who said it, but he defined vocation as the intersection of a person's passions and the world's greatest needs. Where the world's greatest needs meets a person's passions. And what we say is we want to help a child discover their passions and know the world's needs and have the tools to be able to live there and accomplish that.
That's a beautiful thing, and I think that's especially when we're dealing with elementary school students, middle school students, that's really the way it should be. Strier Hebrew Academy goes up and through fifth grade. What do you guys really have that essential job of preparing your students for their futures, which, like you said, we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, but yet we got to make sure our students are ready. When students graduate, you mentioned your fifth grade graduation a few minutes ago. When students graduate fifth grade, what are the core things that you want your students to be leaving your school with? What if you had to pick those one or two top priorities, what would they be?
Yeah, so I would say number one, our highest priority would be gratitude, that they feel gratitude to Hashem for the life they've been given, gratitude to their family. And I think so much of what we associate with productivity in life is actually can come from a place of gratitude. So I would say number one, we want students who really understand the blessings they have in life. And number two, curiosity, asking, and wanting to move. It's important. I know, during the holiday of Passover, we have the four sons, and we emphasize during that holiday that we want our children to be asking questions. We want them to be curious, and we want them to get to the next step. So it sounds like you guys are really embracing that idea and making your students forward thinkers amongst themselves, so that they can ask that next question and continue their own futures and their own education. And I think that's a really beautiful thing. I speak here often that the biggest challenge perhaps that I face as an educator, philosophically again, is understanding to Orthodox Jewish educators, we're a modern Orthodox school. I could say broaden it to Jewish educators in general. actually believe in self-actualization in the way that it was originally imagined. Because
How much time do we have? Hold on. We might be here a while.
But it's a great, right? It's a great question. Do we actually believe it? Because we want something from our students. So where I've settled right now as of what, 9:30 at this exact moment is that what we believe is we want to give you the tools that your self-actualization is one of Jewishness and profound connection to God and to Torah. But our job stops in 5th grade, and then your job takes over from there. Or other day schools, our job stops in 12th grade, and you have to take it from there. And if we did a good job, then your self-actualization will include a life of mitzvot and goodness and godliness.
Sounds amazing. It's been a while since I've made it to the Boston area, hearing you talk, Rabbi Soffer, makes me ready to come back and
we'll have you anytime
to come visit Strier in person. I'm going to take you up on that. It sounds like a really amazing learning environment. I can see, looking at your window behind you, beautiful environment, both inside and out. And it sounds like you guys have a really special and unique educational program and educational community. And I really want to wish you the best of luck. I know we're coming to the summer break now, so I hope, Rabbi Soffer, you have a chance to recharge your batteries a little bit, and as you're preparing for the new school year coming up in just a couple of months, we know that you're going to be very successful, and that you'll be able to continue the great work that you're doing. So, Rabbi Soffer, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. For those people who are watching this podcast, people want to find out more information about Strier Hebrew Academy. What's the best way for them to do that?
So 2 ways. One, strierhebrew.org is our website. Okay. But as I said, technology has its limits. The best way is always to be in touch. So my email is jsoffer@strierhebrew.org. Email me, be in touch. We love talking.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And for those of you who are joining us, if you have any questions, please visit us at www.EduTogether.org. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.